대여 나이 네가 바란 대로 나는 될 거야 랩스tar Looking for bills 더 늘어나는 팀 네가 싫어하던 게
Masvidal and Colby. Now, I want to talk about this fight for a couple of reasons. There's this beef that is probably one of the hottest beefs in MMA right now between Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington. Now, these guys were friends back in the day. They were training partners. When I say friends, I mean they were roomies. They literally roomed together and lived together, trained together, and they were publicly known as friends. Well, as they've gotten bigger and as they've, developed more clout, each of them as a top-notch MMA fighter, of course they've moved on and gone their separate ways. As far as, obviously they're not roommates anymore, but according to these guys, there's this major beef between the two, and they have these huge chips on their shoulders regarding one another, and there's a lot of negative personal feelings between Colby and Masvidal. Now, I want you guys to hear me out, because I'm a person who does not believe that that's a real beef. Now, it may be, but it may not be. I feel like the reason they're not doing the Ultimate Fighter is because they were afraid to be around each other for that length of time and not spill the beans, or for it not to come out somehow that this is all a work. And let me explain, let me elaborate when I say this is a work. I mean, these guys are going to get into the cage in a couple of weeks and fight, and they're going to figure this thing out regardless. So I'm not saying it's a work in the sense that the fight's not going to be real. It's going to be real, obviously. They're going to go in there and try to kill one another. But what I believe is a work is this beef that is being created. Now, you're not going to look at me and say, hey, Corey, I mean, come on, man. Have you heard the stuff that Colby said about Masvidal? I mean, that's not something that you say about one of your friends. True, this is also the fight game. And you say things to sell the fight, especially when the cameras are on. And I also would like to point out to you that Colby talks shit about everyone. Literally, everyone. If I were a fighter and I were in the UFC, Colby would talk shit about me. If you were a fighter in the UFC, Colby would talk shit about you, especially if you're in his weight class. So the fact that he speaks the way he does about other fighters, in my mind, is no indication whatsoever that Colby has an actual beef with Jorge Masvidal. I know Jorge says some things in return about Colby, and it's just a back and forth. I'm telling you, when you have that sort of a bond with someone, that sort of friendship with someone like these guys have had, you don't just lose that, man. You don't just lose that. When you train with someone, sweat, blood, and tears with someone, you're going through trying to make it big in your career. Anytime they fight, you're there, pulling for them, encouraging them. When they lose, you're there to pat them on the back, so we'll get them next time, man. When you have that sort of relationship with someone, and it's a reciprocal relationship between two fighters, training partners, roommates, friends, stuff just doesn't go away, man. It does not go away. My thought process is on this that, does it really matter? Does it really matter whether the beef is real? Do you really care if the beef is real? What, if the beef's not real and they're actually, still good friends, and they're, texting each other behind the scenes, and when the cameras aren't on, hey, I'm gonna say this, don't be offended by it, but I'm gonna go there. If they're doing that, does that mean that I don't want to see this fight? No way, man. For me, it adds more intrigue if they are still cool with one another. Because if they are still cool with one another, they are still going to go and get in this octagon in front of 15,000 people and then fight one another with millions around the world watching in a prize fight where anything could happen, and they're both going to be trying to take each other's heads off. As far as I'm concerned, this beef, being a made-up beef, does nothing to negatively affect the sell of this fight and the sell of the pay-per-views. Because if you're a real MMA fan like I am, who cares, man? You want to see the fight. You want to see, you know, two of the best going at it. Whether it's a real beef or not really does not matter. And like I said, in fact, the fact that they could actually behind the scenes still be good friends, and that they're able to pull this off, man, I love it. I would pay twice for it. You know, what, $74.99 is what the pay-per-views are. I'd pay $150 to see that, because that takes some balls, man. That takes some balls. And if their friendship is so strong that they can actually say the things that they've said about one another in the public eye, then still get in there and fight one another in front of millions and millions of people across the world and 15,000 fans live, and they can still do that and pull that off, it's freaking genius, man. It's genius. It's genius. And, you know, when I found out that they were not doing the Ultimate Fighter together, I already had my suspicions on this, but when I found that out, that's kind of set it in stone for me as far as my beliefs on this. And I believe that they're just afraid to be around each other for that long, for, you know, months at a time, and spend that kind of time face to face with one another without one of them, you know, winking or smiling. I'm sure I'm going to get all kinds of comments. Man, full of crap, man. These guys hate each other. The beef is real, this and that and the other. And you know what? It could be. It could be. This is just me talking MMA. This is me discussing my opinions on the matter. I just feel like, you know, once you've been that close with someone, you know, it takes a lot to cause those people to no longer care about one another at all. And, you know, I think these guys had a really, really strong bond at one point, and I think that the bond's still there, and they're putting everybody across the country and across the world through this infomercial where they are building this facade that they hate one another and they have these major personal problems with one another. And it's not that they're not doing a good job selling it. Colby has a good poker face. It's not really real, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because I want to see it just as badly if it's not real. And if it is real, that's great too, man. I'm gonna watch the fight either way. If you're a real MMA fan, you're gonna watch this fight because it's gonna be a good fight. I think they're doing a good job at what it is they do. That's being an entertainer, and that's setting up the story to sell the fight. The fact that they didn't do the Ultimate Fighter tells a lot. I just don't think they could trust themselves to do it for that length of time and not let their slip hang on what their true feelings for one another were. And that's just what I think, man. It's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. It's, you know, it's like a butthole, man. Everybody has one. What's your opinion? Leave it in the comments below. Let me know what you think about this. And like the video, and also subscribe to the channel, especially if you're watching my videos on a regular basis. Just subscribe to the channel, man. Well, you know what? Maybe you're just that type of person that likes to watch videos but doesn't want to subscribe. And if you're that type of person, then I don't want you to subscribe anyway. Don't subscribe. You see how I did that? See how I did that? No, but seriously, subscribe to the channel, guys. All right, love you guys. Talk to you soon. Peace.
또 따라오는 사랑은 나 thanks to the God. 한기 많은 파도 넘어지면 다시 일어나서 세상의 충지를 박 왔던 대로 그냥 하던 대로